And we are live. Welcome, good people. In this world of the sniffles, we are going to try to focus on some things that we haven't been focusing on for a long time. Things that nonetheless do happen. I'm not alone today. I have with me Michael Keller and Paolo. I always want to say Paolo Conte. I don't know why. Obviously, it's not Paolo Conte, but now I can't remember his second name. Costa?
No, I can.
Paolo Costa? Did I remember it right?
Yes.
Paolo Costa. Thank you both for joining me. And we have a massive number of 3 viewers.
4.
4! Oh! But yeah, today I wanted to talk about something else than the coronavirus. So yeah, this stream is already demonetized because I said coronavirus. And there's plenty of news going around that we are totally ignorant of. And in all fairness, some major news stories that were happening before the coronavirus hit us that now seem a distant history. Now for this I have a few pieces of, I have a few pieces of news set up that we're going to bring in, and Paul Costa gave me a few pieces as well. But before we start actually going into it, do you guys want to talk some shit to see if people will stop join us, or do you want to get started?
Might as well.
Well, we can wait, but the usual suspects are either in the YouTube chat or in the Hangouts, so why not start?
Yeah, that's true. It's probably not going to get a lot more crowded. Well, I did want to start a little bit about what you told me about in Switzerland, Michael. Because I do believe that what's happening in Switzerland now may very well be an indication of what's starting to happen in the rest of Europe. Even though it is rather corona-oriented. Do you mind sharing it with us once more?
Oh, yeah, sure. Our Swiss general practices and their staff had to close their offices because they don't have any more work to do. Patients are not going to the offices, and most of the doctors had to put their staff on short work, while Swiss Army has been mobilized to help out in hospitals because they have so much to do.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, and that's a thing that doesn't actually fit together because medical staff has to go on short time because they have nothing to do, and militia has to be mobilized to help out in hospitals. What doesn't add? Or shall I say that doesn't compute? Because medical staff at home, nothing to do, soldiers in hospital helping out.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense, and the way our politicians are dealing with the situation, it's funny. I know, for example, that in Poland, the people in Poland, the old people in Poland, have basically been told that they are not allowed to go out of their house. They are allowed to go to the shop, but only if that shop is within 200 meters of their house, and only in the morning between certain hours. If they don't comply to those rules, they will get a massive fine, and there's a possibility of prison sentences if you don't pay your fine. It's almost as if we're all in a state of war, and
Talk about state of war. We have emergency law in Switzerland, which you may know as martial law since March 16th. Now we have the mobilized army. Technically, Switzerland is at war.
it's amazing.
We don't have fines when we go out yet, and older people over 60 have to stay at home whenever possible, and they can go to shop or to the doctor's office, but it's actually asked to ask other people for help. But we don't have the fines. Yet in Italy, if you go out and break the curfew, you can end up 6 years or up to 5 years or up to €6,000 fine.
Yeah, it's amazing. And John, healthcare work isn't generic, you're correct. But something tells me that a general practitioner or his employees are better at this generic healthcare work than conscripts are.
Or especially than infantry guys, because infantry guys in Switzerland have many muscles, they're very powerful, they are fast, but not good at thinking, if you get the drift.
Yeah, the grunts, the
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So they're stormtroopers.
they're the stormtroopers, which is true for
Yeah,
every.
they hit similarly,
every
to be honest. Yeah.
This is true for every army in the world, though. I mean, the infantry isn't their brain box. Anyway, hi there, Ludicrous, and hi there, Real Raven. They don't need fines, just shoot people with rubber bullets. See, you're an authoritarian too. Even if it would actually harm people to go outside, which is far from being proven, why do you think governments have a right to tell people when they are and are not allowed to go outside of their house? Real Raven. But yeah, that's
So
me.
I must admit, I do want to have a Regenschirm.
Yeah, umbrella.
Umbrella, thanks. Yeah, an umbrella like they used at the movies Kingsman.
Yeah, but that is more because of you than because of what government needs to do. Anyway, we have doubled, well, our number of viewers at the moment. All the regulars are in. Hopefully more will show up, who knows. So we're going to talk about a little bit of news that people might have overlooked. Let's be polite. Let's say they didn't do it on purpose. They merely forgot. Does that sound believable? No, not really, but who cares? The first story we're going to do is about the Syrian-Turkish situation. Now, since the war in Syria with ISIS and the way that this situation has been dealt with by Western powers, Turkey has decided that Syria should fall under their dominion. Not literally, obviously, because at no point did they ask the European Union or America or Russia to accept Turkish law in Syria. But it seems Turkey is very busy with attacking Syria. Anyone who wants to add to this one?
Well, yeah. With the attack in Syria, Turkey broke not only the NATO agreements by not starting a war, not dragging others into a war, like it is described in Article 4 of the NATO Charter, which essentially states that if a NATO member needs help, they can ask for it, and NATO has to actually help this country. Article 4 is hardly known. Most people know the Article 5, that if one NATO member is under attack, the others have to assist. And I think that's very terrible, because it's also in breach of the UN Charter, Article 1. Nobody's allowed to attack someone without the mandate of the Security Council. And Turkey is also very active in Libya, where they absolutely have nothing to do there. And they are still members of the NATO, and Turkey shot down several helicopters and one fighter plane of the Russians, and this may cause the Third World War.
Yeah.
Because the instant the Russians answer and shoot down some Turkish airplanes or units and so on, NATO can ask for Article 5, defense case, and there we go.
Yeah, this is, for example, if Russia would strike back at Turkey for Turkey attacking Russian helicopters, then Russia striking back would trigger Article 5, and then yeah, we are dragged in another war started by the Ottoman Empire, it seems. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to put it back, sorry. It's kind of interesting.
I've
Sorry.
just seen you just shown the NATO Charter and Article 4, the last part of the sentence, the one with the any of the parties is threatened is the one Turkey can ask for because they are or they feel threatened by the Kurds and the IS.
Yeah,
That's why they're in Libya and Syria. And this,
But the
as this
Kurds,
is-
well, they can't ask for help against the Kurds because the Kurds are a national security issue, not an international security one.
yeah,
the
not
Kur-
anymore because they fled to Idlib because IS welcomed the Kurds. That's why they are in Idlib at the
but
first place.
IS didn't welcome the Kurds, and the Kurds from Turkey went to Idlib because IS attacked the Kurds
yeah.
in Idlib.
Yeah.
So the Turks from the
Right.
Turkish Kurds went there to help protect Idlib.
Right.
And now Turkey is attacking Idlib because there are Kurds, which is a problem. I don't
True
understand.
that. I confused that a bit. Thanks for setting me straight.
And
But well,
in
yeah.
all fairness, Article 4 and 5 can't be used for the Kurds because the Kurds don't have a nation. And Article 4 and 5 are basically if a nation is under attack by a different nation. So yeah, the Article 4 and 5 do not apply on the Kurds, but they do apply on the interesting situation around the situation with the Turks and the Syrians. I'm going back to go here, and the Turks with the Russians. But yeah, obviously, Russia has, by the way, time and time again declared that they don't want a war with Turkey, but they will not back down. And somehow this is totally lost in our current news cycle. But what do you think, guys? I mean, Turkey starts an attack in Syria, and nobody picks up on it.
Nobody, yeah, but I'm
Nobody
really not.
dares to pick up.
I'm really not surprised. The way that TV news are done now is to get emotional responses, and there's a rule in news that things need to be as close as possible to home to evoke that emotional response. So the Turks and the Syrians are at war. It doesn't matter. But your grandpa and your grandma are going to die of the Mexican beer virus. Yeah, that actually impacts you directly.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to talk about the Corona thing, but
Yeah.
I
So
read-
yeah, but I'm not surprised that the news are not picking up on it. This is a procedure.
it's
Yeah, and personally, I do believe there is a reason why nobody speaks out against the Turkish,
okay.
because they violated NATO Charter and United Nations Charter so often, nobody says something. But it would actually fit into the bigger picture of someone wanting a war with Russia, because if you lose Turkey from NATO, you lose a 5-minute missile base to Moscow. You are going to lose the access to the Black Sea. I can see why it's strategic.
Strategically important. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I hate
Which
stuttering, just to mention it once in a while.
so what we need to do is obvious. Take back Constantinople.
Make
Well,
Istanbul
send that
Constantinople
ship
again.
we'll cover later. Let's send some pirates. That should be enough
Well,
at the moment.
it's more complicated, but courting Bulgaria and Belarus to join NATO is better logistically than putting up with Turkey. The thing is, the Russians are going to have a fit if the NATO starts putting missile bases in Belarus.
Definitely.
Well,
But
they already did actually, because the anti-missile shield that shall protect against Iranian ICBMs is aimed against Russia, and those missiles used in that shield can also be equipped with man, god damn it, sorry, tactical nukes which actually are in range of Russia. So we essentially have mid-range rockets aimed at Russia that can be equipped with the weapons that shouldn't be equipped if you want to remain a peaceful state. That's why
Well,
Russia is against that missile shield. It's not aimed against North Korea. It's not aimed against Iran. Iraq doesn't matter anymore. It's aimed against Russia. And with that upgrade possibility, I can understand Putin why they're getting nervous.
yeah, but can we imagine if we put that shield in Belarus instead? Because Vitebsk, the distance between Vitebsk, which is the biggest border city in Belarus, to Moscow is 500, a bit over 500 kilometers.
Yeah. You do that and you start the war.
Yeah.
The Russians wouldn't accept that.
Yeah.
But can you blame them?
And Belarus is not politically stable.
No, Belarus is
Yeah.
dreadful. I mean, you have better chances of making a good deal with Russia than with Belarus. It's the same with Ukraine. I mean,
Well,
don't get me
except
wrong.
you push the regime away and replace it with some people that are willing to join the European Union, which means joining the UdSSR, and go from there,
Yeah,
like it happened in the Ukraine.
I don't think it would be good for anyone if the European Union grew, to be honest. It's been too big already.
European Union should never have grown over the 15 initial members, to be honest, because they wanted to create that European-wide single country state with the single market and so on. You can't do that by constantly growing, taking up countries that aren't in the constitution of joining the European Union because they don't fit the single market criteria, they don't fit the Euro criteria, and you have to accept both when joining. And also the European Union itself must learn how to deal with several states and countries with different cultures, different languages, different mentalities.
Yeah,
You can't govern that like Germany or France, and that's what we actually see at the moment.
in all fairness, though, that's already true if we only talk about the original founding members. Because let's be honest,
Yeah,
Italy
that's
and
what I said.
Germany are not the same country.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah.
it with EU 15 and leave it there until it really works. And then you can debate expanding. But
Well-
not before that.
I don't think that's going to happen because last I heard is that Italy is already talking about putting another bomb under the European project. And it's kind of funny because now it's even the left-wing Italian politicians that are like, yeah, you know what, maybe this Europe thing isn't a good idea.
Well, with Swiss new since forever.
True. No, John, I'm not eating. The rabbits are playing with something. I'm sorry. I wouldn't mind eating, don't get me wrong, but in this case, unfortunately, it is not me. I do have a little bit of the sniffles, but then, don't we all? So, okay, the Syrian-Turkish army engage in deadly clashes in Idlib. It's kind of funny because there have been Turkish soldiers killed by the Syrian government in Idlib, which is well within Syrian borders, and somehow Turkey
Completely
claims to
illegal
be the
because
victim.
Syria didn't ask Turkey to invade Syrian territory. They didn't ask
No,
for
it's a
help.
war. It's an
And
act
they
of war.
said, go out of our country before
Yeah.
they opened fire. So
No, Turkey is at
bad
war.
for the families, but yeah.
I mean,
What
people
expect?
try to pretend that this isn't the case, but Turkey is at war with Syria because they have troops on Syrian soil without permission of Syria. So they're not there to help Syria. It's an invasion army. But yeah, somehow people don't like to say that. Oh, sorry. Anyway, now we talked about the Turkish-Syrian thing, so let's look a little bit at the Turkey-Russian patrol, because now they're starting to work. Well, now, it's already a few weeks ago. Turkey and Russia are more or less starting to work together. It's not true, they're not really working together, but Russians have agreed to do patrols with the Turks to make sure that the Turks don't misbehave, in all fairness. But obviously the Syrians aren't happy with it. And somehow...
Well, why should the Syrians be happy about it? Turkey has no place in Syria.
No, they should have been gone, that is true.
It's like Russia coming to Netherlands or to Portugal, or shall we say Germany, because they would be happy about that, and start patrolling the streets.
Yep.
They would never accept it, and nobody would say anything against Merkel or the government speaking out against Russian troops in the streets.
Yeah.
And it's also different in Syria because everybody is doing down there what they want, even though there is no mandate of the United Nations. There's no need to be there. And as sad as it is, the only foreign force in Syria who's legally allowed to be there are the Russians, because the legally elected government of Syria, no matter democratically elected or not, they are elected, are the Russians, because they asked for the Russians, come and help us, please.
Yeah, no, that's true. The Russians are the only fighting force that are legally in Syria. So either we start a war with Syria and indeed Russia, or we have to say, you know what? Let's
let the Russians clean up the mess the Americans left them. The Americans bombed for peace for 5 years. The Russians have been there from 2015. In 2018, without American interference and asking for no combat zone for like Idlib and so on, where the IS could have fled to, there would have been peace.
Yeah.
The Russians would have taken care of the terrorists, and it would have been over by now.
John, even though Turkey and Syria have a border, Turkey is still not allowed to send its troops, plural, into the Syrian country.
Yeah.
By
It's the
doing
same
so,
with
it's
the
an act
French.
of war.
If they would send troops to the United Kingdom to bring them back into the beloved land, the European Union, so to speak, the French wouldn't have any right to do so, even though they have a border with the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Germany can't invade Switzerland. Well, they can actually, because they disarmed us Swiss, where we don't have any means to defend ourselves anymore.
Yeah, that's
but
brilliant.
they don't have a right to. Or do like the Italian police, the Carabinieri has been known to invade the Tessin, which is our Italian part of Switzerland, to go there, to walk into the banks, to check which Italian person is there and how much money they have and where it came from and so on. They came into Switzerland armed. They have no right to do so. But our Minister for Injustice, I'd like to call it, is a member of the Socialist Party in Switzerland, so nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Or like the German proverb goes, wer hat uns verraten? Die Sozialdemokraten. Which translates to, who has treasoned us? It was the socialists.
Who betrayed
It
us?
loses in translation.
Yeah. Who betrayed us? It was the National Socialists.
Yeah.
Or the
Always
Democratic
the same.
Socialists. It doesn't matter. Socialism is always a bad idea.
True
So,
that.
the Turkey-Russia patrols. Paolo, what do you have to say to this?
I really don't see a way out for this for the current situation. I think we need to freedomize them.
We need to freedomize them.
The West is going to have to freedomize everyone, and we were talking about World War III a few minutes ago. So, in order to freedomize Syria, we have to start World War III.
Okay. Well, I mean,
So essentially you say, let the Turkish do their deal and everything...
And once again, decolonization was a mistake. That thing should still be the British mandate in Mesopotamia.
well, maybe. I mean, let's be honest. Most countries that have been decolonized have indeed not improved on themselves.
Yeah, just look at Portugal.
Portugal.
Yeah. We since we decolonized from the Roman Empire, we've been downhill ever since.
Yeah, and that happened all over Europe since the Roman Empire was diminished. Yeah, well. And Raven, just to mention it, the Bankgeheimnis, the banking secret, was never absolute.
Yeah, didn't they?
Never.
Didn't they?
If there
Didn't
was
they
an
have a big hit?
investigation against a person, it was void. Key
Yeah, if-
phrase, if there was an investigation against a person. So when you've heard Hans Eichel or Per Steinbrück, both German finance ministers, they always said they need the data from the Swiss banks to start investigations, to see if the initial suspicion is proven, or not. But what are investigations for? To check if something is proven or not. You have to find proofs for the suspicion or against it. That's
So
what
basically-
investigations do, except you live in a tax desert like Germany. Then you have to find the evidence first, and then you can start investigations.
No,
It's
no,
like
but
a
you
judge
have
saying
you have
you're
to have,
guilty, and then he has the trial.
no, you have to have reasonable cause to check, and that
Yeah.
reasonable cause has to be given. A judge has to agree with reasonable cause, and then you can go to
Yeah.
Switzerland. But the
For example,
whole bank secret storyline has been debunked several
Yeah.
times already.
also
mean-
with the CDs, with the customer data that have been bought from Switzerland, they had about 5% of all the data has been tax evasion. And the funny part is those 5% didn't have an account with Swiss banks. They
Yeah.
had accounts in Netherlands, in Belgium, in France, in Poland. None of them in Switzerland. There were
Yeah.
two famous cases, I should say. One has been this manager from Bayern München, of that soccer club, and one was a feminist, or the feminist in Germany. What's that witch's name again? Ali Schwarzer.
I have no idea who that is.
Ali Schwarzer has founded Emma. That's a German journal for feminists. She looks like the bad witch from Hansel and Gretel. Not kidding. Yeah, you can Google her.
Now I have to.
Yeah, oh, you have to. And,
Emma.
she actually was.
What's her
the
name
one
again?
who- Alice, like Alice in Wonderland. Alice Schwarzer. SCH. W. Arzer. Yeah.
Schwarzer.
Yeah.
You're not even wrong.
I told ya, nobody
Oh,
believes me.
bloody hell. Especially
I seriously
this
have
one.
to print my T-shirt with "I told you so" in every language I can find.
Oh, she does though. Fucking hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evil witch from Hansel and Gretel.
Oei.
And there are newer photos too, where she even looks more like that evil witch. For example, yeah. I see I'm gonna have some nightmares today.
Oh yeah, you can see her putting a child to the oven.
And there you are! Neue Steuervorwürfe. Neu? This means even new ones. She just came out of prison for her 2.5-year sentence she gotten. And she wasn't released early.
Okay, enough about her. We can do a topic about her one day. That's okay. But
Oh no, thanks, you
damn,
don't need to do so. You don't need to traumatize me.
Okay, fair enough.
You can do that alone.
Now, we've been talking about Turkey a bit. And if we see what Turkey is doing in Syria, it's rather messy. And according to The Guardian, the Turkish president has gone beyond a proxy war to a direct confrontation with Assad. But the funny thing is, that then means that it's no longer a proxy war, it's a war. Because in all fairness, Assad is the lawful ruler of Syria. Whether we like the guy or not, has nothing to do with it. So basically, and this is from Too Much, Turkey is basically out for war. And there are enough newspapers who recognize this. But somehow, we're not acting on it. We're allowing Russia to do this. And I think it was you that said it a moment ago that the Turkish forces are even in Libya. Wasn't it you,
Yes,
Michael?
it was me, yeah. They have ground forces there, doing whatever they want. Nobody actually knows exactly what, because there's almost no media coverage.
This is obvious evidence that we've been treating this as some sort of meme, but Erdogan is clearly trying to bring back the Ottoman Empire in areas that used to be a part of the Ottoman Empire, controlled by the Sultan. He obviously sees himself not as a president; he sees himself as a monarch, and this is the birthright of the Turkish ruler. Turkey needs to start being considered a rogue nation, and once again going back to their NATO membership, they need to be expelled.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is, and no one seems to pick up on this. No one seems to pick up on this. Even when Turkey is actually threatening Europe itself. There we go. Because Greece is now having a new, how do you call it, influx of unfriendlies. Let's call them that. Let's be polite. And at some point, we're going to have to address this. Oh, and ludicrous. The new Ataturk, no, not really. Ataturk, funny enough, was one of the guys that wanted to remain within Turkey's boundaries. Ataturk is the one that told the Turkish people that they should forget about the Ottoman Empire, that it wasn't
yes,
something
Erdogan
they should still do.
is the new Suleiman the Magnificent.
Yes, the ones that we're talking about that we should worry about are the Suleimans, the caliphs, and Ataturk wasn't a caliph.
Sultans. They technically none of them could have been a caliph, because the caliphate can only be declared by a descendant of Muhammad, and being Turkish, none of the Ottoman ruling elite could declare themselves a caliph.
I thought the Ottoman Empire was considered a caliphate.
No.
Mm.
No, only the
guys, I think, are
Abbasids
the
and the Umayyads were caliphs, but the Ottoman Empire was not.
Okay.
Basically, only an Arab ruling elite can call for the caliphate, and that Arab ruling elite is not Saudi either.
No, because the Saudis are Jewish.
So I think they have to be either from Syria or Egypt.
Well, if they have to be Arabs, the Turks aren't
Yes.
Arabs. They're
Mongols.
No, the Turks aren't Mongols either. Oh, and I can't remember the word now. Fucking hell.
The Turk came from Central
Seljuks.
Asia.
They did, yes, but the Turks are Seljuk.
Right.
The
The Seljuk are Turks. It's the other way around.
No, because the area before the Seljuk came there, for example, the people in Anatolia, when the Greeks, when the Ottoman before the Ottoman, when it was still the Byzantium Empire, the Turks were their own people. They were Anatolian,
Yes.
and then the Seljuk came.
Right.
Seljuk aren't native to Turkey. Well, they are now, obviously, but the people, the Seljuk people, didn't come from Turkey.
No, the Turkic peoples originally came from around Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan,
Yeah.
and Turkmenistan.
So a Seljuk isn't an Arab, and we call them
No.
Turks because of Turkey. but they aren't native to Turkey either.
Yeah.
And the natives from Turkey, the Anatolians, there aren't a lot of them left. It's kind of the same with Great Britain, by the way, because let's not pretend that this is a terrible thing or that this never happened. If you look at Great Britain, there aren't a lot of native Brits.
And it's not great neither.
Well, it was. Bretonians, or the Bretons, was a specific group of people, and they aren't that common in Great Britain anymore, or anywhere else in the world. There are a few exceptions. It's the same is true for Italy, for example. Now, there are still a lot of Romans in Italy, but there are also a lot of Germanics, the Longobarden, in Italy. So there's always been a continuous movement of people in the world. So, yeah, even this, it's not a problem. But it's kind of funny because Turkey is using the migrants in Greece as a sort of a weapon.
True.
And funny enough, it was Erdogan who opened the valves to flood Greece with new refugees.
Yeah, even though the European Union paid him not to do that. So now he wants more money. And when that happened, I always have to think about that poem of... I forgot his name. Deengeld.
Well, which poem?
I'm going to see if I can find it real fast. It's from Kipling too, I guess. Let me see if this is the one. And if it is, I will share it, obviously. My internet seems to be very slow. Am I roboting, or is it the website that is really slow?
Well, in Hangouts, it's normal.
Yeah.
Don't know for the stream.
Okay. So, this is the poem of Rudyard Kipling. The poem is called Deengeld. It is always a temptation to an armed and agile nation to call upon a neighbor and say, "We invaded you last night. We are quite prepared to fight, unless you pay us cash to go away." And that is called asking for Deengeld. And the people who explained it, the people who ask it, explain that you've only to pay him Deengeld, and then you'll get rid of the Dane. It is always a temptation for a rich and lazy nation to puff and look important and to say, "Though we know we should defeat you, we have not the time to meet you. We will therefore pay you cash to go away." And that is called paying the Deengeld. But we've proved it again and again, that if once you have paid him the Deengeld, you never get rid of the Dane. It is wrong to put temptation in the path of any nation, for fear they should succumb and go astray. So when you are requested to pay up or be molested, you will find it better policy to say, we never pay anyone Deengeld, no matter how trifling the cost. For the end of the game is oppression and shame, and the nation that pays it is lost. And this kind of thing is what happened with the Turk-Greek border, where the European Union decided to pay the Deengeld, and Turkey then said, "Oh well, you know what? Yeah, fuck you. We're coming again." And I know I butchered the reading of that one. I'm sorry, it was rather impromptu. I wasn't planning on doing this. I should have prepared better. But I do think it's a great poem.
It is, and the Americans shortened it down to, "We don't negotiate with terrorists."
Yeah, well, it's a very good translation.
Yeah, but it's very true too, because you don't give in to such kind of people like bullies and so on. You just don't. You accept the beating, because if you pay, you get beaten anyway, so you pay even more. Or with terrorists, if you give in to them, they will start again to do it again. Same for the Deengeld.
Yep.
The only reason, the only true reaction to blackmailing, call the bluff.
Yeah.
Because when the blackmailer gives in, well, he loses the best weapon against you.
Yeah. And in all
Or like Friedrich
fairness,
Schiller said, lieber ein Ende mit Schrecken als ein Schrecken ohne Ende. Better a scary end than no end at all.
yeah. And the thing is, the money you pay is the money they use to strengthen themselves, so to make you pay more.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what happened. And I say, you know what? Europe has a lot of problems with the coronavirus. Why don't we make a few huge camps on the Greek border and send all the coronavirus victims to that place? The weather is beautiful. They can have fresh air. We send medical supplies to help them.
And the ultraviolet light from the sun kills the viruses.
Yeah. And it probably prevents more Turkish people coming in. Because let's be honest, the Turkish...
It's not the Turkish people coming in, it's the Syrian and other people coming in.
No, actually it's not. Because about a third of the people coming in that were counted were Turkish.
No, you're wrong. Merkel said they are Syrian refugees.
Yes.
Period.
Merkel said...
Believe
but
Merkel.
Merkel
Believe
also, Merkel also said, "Wir schaffen das. We'll fix it."
Send them to Germany, please.
So yeah,
But build a wall that the Germans can't escape to us. Sorry.
a wall around Germany. I think they've tried that once before.
And
No.
it was very successful until the West broke the wall down. But if the West builds the wall, we might succeed this time.
Yes, and ludicrous. The Prince should be required reading, together with the archipelago. The Gulag Archipelago. Gulag Archipelago. Fucking hell! Now I'm stuttering.
Papagallo? Wasn't that an opera?
No. It's a string of islands.
Archipelago.
Archipelago. Thank you. I couldn't find the
that
word.
one, that-
But yeah, the Gulag Archipelago, the Prince, the Lord of the Rings. Funny enough, I really think that should be required reading too.
Tolstoy?
And Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
Yeah, that definitely.
Well, yeah, that fits with how do you call it? That fits with the Prince. And people should learn to read those things and actually think about them.
Don't expect too
Archipelago.
much about the young generations, Marvin.
Archipelago. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I was stuttering over the word archipelago. Fucking hell. I don't know what it is today.
Am I contagious with my stuttering?
I guess so. I
Be
don't know.
afraid, Paolo. Be afraid. You're gonna start too.
The Book of the Five Rings. I don't know that one, Ludicrous. Maybe something I should read then.
A manual of an Audi.
The Manual of Audi.
Those are 4 rings. For the
Notes
Outer
way down,
Union.
2 ups. Oh no, these are the Olympics. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, the Turks are sending refugees. See, that's the thing. That's the thing with words. They constantly are given new meaning because, let's be honest, if they are in Turkey,
They're in a
They-
safe country, actually.
they're in a safe country. They cannot be refugees anymore. So yeah, the Greeks are correct in saying no, these are migrants. They're not refugees. And apparently the farmers and pensioners were walking around in black clothes and heavy boots, imitating the Greece special forces to try and scare people away.
Yeah, but the pinchfork isn't as intimidating as a machine gun would be, I think.
True. Okay, so we had this one. Now I have Stephen Molyneux because either I'm going to make a video about it or we're going to do that here, or I'm going to do both. But first I'm going to two
Is it
articles.
just me or does he look sick?
No, I think it's a lighting thing.
Oh.
I mean, he looks a little bit pale, but yeah, that's more of a lighting thing, I think. But anyway, we've got 2 articles from Paolo. Here we go. So Paolo, take it away, my friend.
Okay, so this week, Portugal, nice small country. We don't mind the other people. We were involved in 2 international incidents. The first one, Nicolas Maduro, president of Venezuela, accuses Portuguese cruise ship of act of terrorism and piracy.
Yo ho, a Portugal's life for me. We pillage, plunder, we rifle and loot. Sorry, couldn't resist.
No rum though.
No rum?
No rum.
No rum.
Where's the rum gone?
Where's the rum gone? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But seriously though, a cruise ship.
Yeah, the Portuguese flag Resolute was accused of committing an act of terrorism and piracy against a Venezuelan Navy boat that sank Monday after a collision.
I'm sorry.
The
A
Venezuelan
Navy boat sank after a collision with a cruise ship. Shouldn't it?
Yes,
be
it
the other way
wasn't even
around?
and it isn't even a very big cruise ship. It only has like 3 decks.
But that should be the other way around though, because Navy ships should
No,
have a
I mean,
sturdier hull.
these guys, from the way these guys described the incident, because they don't exactly say what sort of maneuvering they were having, but what I see is a harbor patrol boat from Venezuela getting directly in the path of the cruise ship, telling them to stop. Now, what happens if you
Right.
get? What happens if you get directly on the path of a large vessel?
Well,
The large
I know,
vessel crashes into you because they don't have time to stop.
Yeah, I know that depending on the speed, but the amount of space needed for a ship to stop is at least 2 to 3 times its length.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So-
also, the smaller boat is way faster to maneuver. And why didn't they
Right.
escape
Yeah.
when they see
Right.
they don't stop?
And everyone knows that if you need to board a vessel, you should be at a 3/4 angle, so you can shoot it from the side. So they were doing everything wrong because my dad was in the merchant navy, and they said they must have got somebody from a fishing trawler to be the captain of this boat.
Yeah, you don't get
Because-
in front of them.
Yeah. According to Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan Navy boat was rammed in a brutal way. No shit. The boat who invested our ship is 8 times heavier. It is as if a giant boxer of 100 kilograms grabs a boxer boy and hits him. You're a complete idiot, you moron. An act of terrorism and piracy that must be investigated. If it had been a tourist boat, I would not have had this attitude of wanting to attack. Investigations are continuing. The authorities in Curacao, this is Maduro speaking, because the boat came from the cruise ship came from Curacao. The authorities in Curacao, in compliance with international commitments, must carry out the investigation, officially inform and take action because it was an act of international piracy. Now, one of they had a general in a mask because they're afraid of the virus in Venezuela. On the TV studio with Maduro, it's not here on the news piece, but it was on the video. That the cruise ship passed near an island where they have a naval base, but that's apparently normal in those waters. So, yeah, this is a completely ridiculous situation that Nicolas Maduro is using for political gain, and he's acting tough with other countries.
Against the cruise ship.
Yeah, against the cruise ship.
I don't want to be rude, but how fucked up must your navy be if you have a problem dealing with a cruise ship?
Do you want an answer?
Oh, yeah, please.
Very.
Yes, indeed, very indeed. I mean, cruise ships are known to be nimble or fast.
Or dangerous.
Or, well, dangerous. Well, yeah, you could argue.
But the
argue
imprint is
what
all
with
what
the
the cruise ship
coronavirus, they are floating vessels of disease. I said you could argue it. I don't say it's true. You could argue.
No arguments lately.
Yeah.
That has been the case.
That sounds like an incident that would happen with Swiss Navy.
The Swiss Navy. Well, hey, you're
We have.
laughing.
They're also called water police, but
You're laughing, but did you know that some of the how do you call them, scientists predicting water rise come from Switzerland and Austria?
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, it does, because those countries have no sea.
No, but they have lakes.
Yeah, but
and scientists.
well, they do have science. Well, they
We
do
don't
have
have
people
candle
being
study
paid.
professors. We actually still have a very, very small amount of real scientists. That might be the difference.
Yeah, and in all fairness, when it comes to, and I mean, if they were people that were studying the geography of the world, geologists, then yeah, and okay, you know what, you could have some semblance of knowledge. Let's be honest, but they're not even that. Anyway, off topic. How about we go to the other international incident in Portugal?
Yes, this is less funny. Ukrainian man died following a beating at Lisbon airport, and the border patrol guards are under investigation for murder. Three agents of the border patrol, the SEF, are being charged with the murder of a 40-year-old Ukrainian man who was refused entry into Portugal earlier last month. The inspectors, all men in their 40s, appeared before court on Monday and are now awaiting trial under house arrest. The situation was in March 10th. The Ukrainian flew into Lisbon from Turkey, so we're not exactly sure what he was doing there, if he lived there or not, and what he wanted to do here. But he was refused an entry visa, and he was ordered to board a plane back, and he refused. Apparently, he had an epileptic fit during the altercation and was taken to the hospital. He was then brought back to the airport 2 days later, and at the airport, he was taken inside a room without CCTV cameras, and in that
He
room,
abstained himself.
yeah, he did not. But the body disappeared, and it was discovered later with his hands cuffed behind his back and severely beaten, and with broken ribs, and that caused a respiratory arrest.
Yeah, that would do it. Why was he not allowed into the country, though? Do we know that?
No, but that's mostly irrelevant.
It is true. That's just me being curious. You're correct, though.
Yeah, the thing is, if he's there are many situations in which he could have been lawfully denied entry. From the moment he's ordered to go back and take a plane back, that is exactly what he has to do. He also can't loiter around the airport. So I'm not even sure if the epileptic fit was real or not. But ultimately, since he was brought back to the airport to board a flight, the situation here is that's when what happened later escapes me, because I don't understand why he would need to be interrogated again, and why in that interrogation he would be subject to a beating. This is very out of character for border patrol officers. They're usually they don't get themselves involved in physical altercations. When that happens, it's because they're investigating people who are already in the country illegally, and for that they have to take the regular police with them, and it's the regular police who give the beatdowns.
Yeah, so this is really strange.
Yes. We haven't had any word from the Ukraine, but given that so far everything has been after the incident, everything has been processing lawfully, because we can't have border patrol running amok in the airport. And worst of all, they concealed the body. They did not tell the proper authorities, which are the public safety police and the judiciary police, and tried to hide the body. They also implicated regular airport security, who had on tape what was happening, and they also hid it. The No, I don't think they didn't hit it. They didn't hide it. The tape was available, and they saw the tape that they helped them. So also the airport security are also being implicated in the as murder accessories.
Yeah.
So we have 3 out of control border patrol who involved 2 civilian security in an act of crime with international consequences. So it's a fuck up all around.
Yeah, that is yeah,
A good description.
a good description. Understatement, I would say, but yeah,
True that.
that's amazing though.
The last time we had such a big international incident is when the parents of it's when a British child supposedly supposedly disappeared, and nobody was able to confirm the accusation against the parents.
Yeah, I remember that one. And people were
Yeah.
like,
Madeleine McCann.
Madeline.
Yeah.
And people were like, yeah, it's probably the parents that did something bad, but nobody can prove it.
At the time, I remember that the British newspapers were very displeased with the police investigation, especially because what they were actually angry about is that the police did not brief them every day on what they were doing. Of course, they can't. Legally, from the moment an investigation starts, they can't comment on an ongoing investigation without authorization from the courts, and the courts never authorize it.
Which is also fair, let's be honest. I mean, you don't want to do an interrogation like that in the court of public opinion.
Right. Ultimately, the situation that made everybody at the time be against the parents is that the parents are on vacation and they leave they go out to dinner with another couple and leave 3 children under the age of 5 alone in a hotel room, even though that hotel has a babysitting service.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of things that didn't make sense.
Exactly.
Well, a lot of things that didn't make sense. Anyway, do we have anything left on this? Do you want to add something to the Ukrainian man dying story?
No, the only thing that we haven't seen any the Ukrainian authorities reacting, but like I said, if everything is going according to is proceeding lawfully, they shouldn't have any issues apart from wanting to be informed of what is going on, because obviously they will want to see they want to see the guilty parties jailed.
Yeah. Well, obviously, so does the Portuguese government.
Of course.
Yeah, so nothing strange there. I mean,
yeah,
crime happens.
We have a large segment of Ukrainian immigrants living in Portugal as well. Yeah. So we want to make sure that they feel safe about this.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, so then we don't have any articles left. Now, I do have the one where the Ukrainian president is basically telling the world that he'll give Putin 1 more year to come to an agreement. But I thought, you know what, forget about that one. The whole Russia-Ukrainian thing is a mess anyway. But we haven't heard anything from that mess for the last few years either. So I put it in there, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, this is not really Corona caused, because we haven't heard from the Ukrainian civil war, let's call it that, for the last 4 years anyway.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's a civil war. it's not about Russia or Moscow or Putin. It's about what the Ukraine does,
Yeah.
and they can enforce the Minsk contract Treaty 2 by just stop to shooting at their own people. Russian can't stand, the Putin can't stop them to do so, except he marches in. But yeah,
Yeah. Now I do have a video of Stefan Molyneux about his take on the coronavirus stuff. So yeah, we could address that one, or we won't, and then I'll make a video about it. Up to you guys. What do you think?
Now let's see what Stefan has for us.
let's go for it.
Okay.
Maybe it will bring us some views.
Ha ha ha. Oi! Why doesn't it work now? Oh, there you go. Here we go then. And it starts out really fun. So I am going to interrupt him a few times, obviously. If you want to interrupt him, just let me know, yeah?
So the job of a doctor is to protect you from ill health.
Okay. It starts right here. The job of a doctor is to protect you from ill health. Is it?
No.
Well, in Chinese medicine it is.
In Chinese medicine.
Yeah, in Chinese medicine the doctor has to keep every illness and sickness off you. And if he fails, he has to treat you. That's why you give the doctor money when you are healthy, and you give him no money when he failed keeping you healthy.
Well, given that Stefan is very much a libertarian, he should understand the value of being responsible for your own health.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's right with that point actually, because it's the job of a doctor to cure you if you are sick.
Yeah. And even then, only if he gets paid. But yeah, the job of a doctor is to treat you, not to prevent you from getting sick. It's you that's supposed to do something to prevent you from getting sick. So, right off the bat, in the first sentence, he basically says something that's profoundly incorrect. Okay, let's continue.
Job of a dentist is to protect your teeth.
Is it the job of a dentist to protect your teeth? Again.
Yes. Let's
That
take
would be the
let's take
dental
our teeth
hygiene, I
out.
guess.
Yeah, let's take our teeth out and give them to the dentist so they can keep them in a vault.
So every time I go out to eat, there should be a dentist there to tell me, oh yeah, no, you can't have that one because that's bad for your teeth. Is that what we should have now? No, a dentist is there to treat me when I have a problem with my teeth. And only after I paid them, obviously, because that's how it works.
You pay them before the treatment?
Well, I agreed to pay them before the treatment. I paid them after the treatment, obviously. Yeah. Okay, so 2 out of 3, meh.
The job of a personal trainer is to protect you from weakness.
No. The personal trainer has to take care of you to make you strong.
A personal trainer is to help you become stronger. It's not to protect you, it's to help you. And this is important because this is something I say, well, currently I am unemployed, but this is what I used to say at my work as well. I'm here to help you. That means that if you can't do it, I'm assisting you. But you are the one that has to do it. So a personal trainer trains you to become stronger. It is not to stop you from being weak. You are the one who has to stop you from being weak. So the 3 examples he's given, all 3 of them are completely wrong. Now, I like Stefan Molyneux, or rather, I like some of his work. I don't always agree with him, but then again, there's no one I always agree with, I guess. But these 3 things are insanely wrong. And indeed, Ludicrous, a personal trainer is to train you, even if it doesn't make you better. Now, the idea of training is that it does make you better, but it's not a foregone conclusion. Anything you else want to add, or shall we continue with the video?
Let's see how it continues.
But my job as a moral philosopher is to protect you from something far more dangerous than...
No. As a moral philosopher, you are here to philosophize about your morals, not to protect me.
Let's put it in another way. Who asked you, Stefan? Nobody asked you to protect my moral philosophy.
all of these things combined, which is, I must protect you from a bad conscience.
And the thing is,
What?
and he really goes wrong. Everything after this is profoundly incorrect, based on the premises that he's given us so far. He feels that it's his job to protect me from making the wrong choices. But does
So
that then,
essentially, he went wrong 4 times out of 3.
well,
It's going down the feminist route, to be honest.
no, but it is. It basically is saying, well, it's my job to tell you what you're doing wrong. Well, you know what? Maybe that's fine enough. I don't care if you berate people. I do the same thing. But to tell us that we need to think like you think is inherently authoritarian. Now, I'm going to play it again a little bit because I want to sink this in.
Far more dangerous than all of these things combined, which is, I must protect you from a bad conscience.
He must protect us from a bad conscience.
Sounds
It's-
like
it's-
a psychosis.
It's not that he wants to. No, he must. And yeah, that sounds dangerously close to maybe not a psychosis, but definitely to a form of how do you call it in English? A superiority complex. You might make mistakes. I must protect you from making those mistakes. But what if you are the one making the mistake? If someone tells people what is going wrong, is not a bad thing in itself. It's where you try to force your opinion that where the border is. Okay, Ludicrous, I might have read that wrong, but I do understand your point. Because, yeah, there's nothing wrong with pointing out to people, hey, listen, I think you're doing that wrong. But to tell people you're doing that wrong, you must do it like this. Yeah, I'm sorry, but then no longer are we talking about equality and freedom, but we're talking about totalitarian and dictator. And it seems that Stefan Molyneux considers himself one of the right people to tell you how to think and act. So we must listen to him. As if he's a dictator. Steph's arguments are religious. Maybe. It sounds
As long as he
religious.
doesn't consider himself to be the new incarnation
Messiah.
of Jesus.
Usually
Now,
does.
let me tell you what this means.
How do you mean usually he does?
Well, you see, in spite of the fact that he claims to be an atheist, he very much sees his ideas as a form of religious pronouncement of. And he used to have his own cult as well for a while.
Did he?
Yeah, what was that thing? What was that thing? Encyclopedia Dramatica used to have it.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know Stefan Molyneux that much. I've seen a bunch of his videos and I like some of his work. Obviously not everything, but in this one, he said a lot of stuff in those first 20 seconds, half a minute, which are all dangerously wrong. In my humble opinion. And it's not as if I am a great thinker. I mean, let's be honest. If we look at how many people listen to him and listen to me, he has more clout than I do. But I don't think he makes more sense. Anyway, let's see what else he has to say.
We are so incredibly interconnected in this modern social media world that everything you do, everything you say, has a huge impact and a huge influence on the world.
This is true. Not as
Not
huge
for our
as...
streams.
Yeah, not for our streams, but not as huge as they think. Because, let's be honest, a great example of that one is, what's his name? Cenk, the young Turk, going for a House position. A House position in California. And everyone thought he would be a good contender. He didn't even make it to the top 3. But online it seemed as if he had a lot of following.
Same goes for Elizabeth Warren. Or
Same.
for the Hunters.
Yep.
Yeah, and remember that everybody on the internet was saying that they were going to vote for Sargon for the European Parliament?
Yeah.
Yeah, issue is, Sargon could have only been elected by people in his area.
Yep.
But apparently there he doesn't have too many fans.
Well, he might have a bunch. But yeah, I mean, the internet, Twitter, YouTube, Minds, it's all interesting. But the average person doesn't look at that shit. I mean, in all fairness, if you have a YouTube channel with 100,000 subscribers, you are considered big. Now, there are a few bigger, obviously, but you're considered big. 100,000 is nothing. With 100,000 subscribers worldwide, I wouldn't even be able to win a local election. Why? Because I might only have about a few handful of local subscribers. So, out of those 100,000 people online that follow me and totally agree with me, only a handful will be local. And I agree with Stefan that there is a form of interconnectivity, but I disagree with the amount of clout he gives it. As if what we say on the internet has real life repercussions other than when the left does it. Because in all fairness, when left-wing attacks start happening, companies suddenly start listening, and then people get fired or get doxxed. But other than that, nothing really changes. And let's be honest, Nike pushes the idea of social justice constantly, even though their products are made by slaves. Never mind that. Never mind reality Apple, which is one of the most favored phones when it comes to the social justice narrative buyers. Even though those phones are made in China by...
No, not for long anymore. They now build a production line in Mexico.
Oh, did they move the... Okay, so they're
Yeah,
no
to
longer
Mexico,
being...
but not to the United States.
Yeah, still not in the United... But they moved out of China then?
Yeah, they plan to. They are still building the...
Oh,
the
they're
fabric
planning to. So at this point in time...
Yeah, but
there's-
they are already building.
Yeah, that's
building
all
the
good and well,
facilities.
but the phones
Yeah.
at this point in time are still being built in China. By
this point,
Uyghur,
yeah.
by Uyghur slaves. Forced workers. I'm sorry, forced workers sounds better than slave, I guess.
Marginal difference.
Yeah, indeed. The difference is nearly non-existent. But this is the reality of things. And here we have companies like Apple and Nike pushing the social justice narrative. And people think they have a lot of clout. Nobody cares. Just like us showing the world, yeah, wait a second, but they're built with slave labor. We know it's true. We can prove it's true. Does it have any clout? No. Because the average person doesn't live on the internet. So, yeah. No, I don't think Cenk has slaves. I wouldn't do that. Anyway.
Well, it certainly would be interesting enough to see how the Young Turks work behind the scenes.
Well, might be. We know, for example, that they don't want their employees to unionize.
Yeah, and
Which-
they also have a shortage of sandwiches.
Did you see the Taiwan journalist interview the Who guy? No, I didn't. Did you guys?
I didn't watch Doctor Who for a long time now.
Even if you don't post, even if you only post to a tiny number of people, you never know who you're talking to, who hears what you have to say or hears it secondhand and then amplifies
What?
it. Everything you say matters.
I agree
But
with
if
him.
you don't post,
No, if you don't,
what about your impact on social media? You don't have one if you don't post.
True.
Number two, if you don't post, what you say is irrelevant because you haven't posted it.
but I do
Am
agree.
I wrong?
No, you're correct. If you don't post, you're completely correct. But having a small following, in all fairness, I have a small following. I still hope that when I say something or when I push something on the internet, it will make one or two people think, and those one or two people may make other people think, etc., etc., etc. So I agree with him that even if you have a small following, when you put something out online, you do have value.
Now, well, let's translate into SJWE's what he just said. He basically what he just said. People are literally dying because of what you wrote.
Well, yes, that is where he's going to. That is true.
By the way, I think we have to see that Who video there because Lepcon just wrote the Who guy hung up mid-interview. I need to see that.
Well, maybe
Can you
later.
post the link there, please?
Let's do this one first.
In this world. So over the past couple of months, if you have been rolling your eyes and saying, oh, it's just the flu, and I can't believe people are being so paranoid, and you should just get out there and don't let fear rule your life, and mocking people who take personal precautions and protections, you have been facilitating the spread of a deadly disease.
Okay.
Well, I agree to that.
I don't agree to that. I don't agree. Because I do think it's useful to be prudent, to be careful. But the spreading of a disease? No, I'm sorry. Listen, what made Italy such a dung heap?
Well, the Haka Chinese action, not closing down the borders when it was clear that the disease is spreading in China and there's no cure to be found yet. Not reacting fast enough by not closing the borders, by not keeping the health system up to date, and so on.
Yeah, there are lots of things. Corona is like that much of the whole problem.
Yeah, but then again, there is also the problem of the responsibility to keep oneself healthy.
Well, but let's be honest. If we look at the flu, because he's like, oh, well, you don't compare it to the flu. If we look at the flu, people get the flu constantly. And in all fairness, people die from the flu every time. Not
True that.
everyone, but every year, a lot of people die from the flu.
Yeah, but as Leprechaun says, if you know about basic protocol in dealing with microbes, you can actually help preventing the spreading of the thing.
Yeah.
And if you say, no, it's just nothing, you don't have to change anything. You do it by proxy, obviously, but you say you don't need to take precautions. And as with the flu, in
Hey, with the
winter, normally, hygiene is important.
Yeah.
Because
We also-
otherwise, you get the fucking flu
Yeah.
and you may
You
die.
also need precautions. You have to adjust your lifestyle to the situation, but not as massively as we are doing now. So comparing the coronavirus to the yearly flu epidemic isn't that far-fetched. And if we look at the death numbers, and I already recorded this, I'm still editing the videos, I'm sorry guys, I'm lazily slow at the moment. But if we look in the Netherlands, we have about 1,100 people that died from corona. But in the last year's flu epidemic, 2018-2019, we had 9,000 people die from the flu. Could the coronavirus become as bad as that? Yeah, sure it could. Of course it could. Could it be worse? Yeah, you know what? It could even be worse than that. But how much worse? Well, probably not a lot worse. Now, why do
No,
I
not
say
a lot
that?
worse, but I think the developments in Italy where they sent the old people home, giving them some very high dosage of painkillers and other
Yeah,
overdosable drugs just to
which
make it easier for them, is a bad development because with the
because that
flu,
killed them.
this usually doesn't happen.
No, I mean taking too much pain medication is actually really bad when you talk about problems with the lungs, because
Yeah,
pain
but
medications.
I was referring to the high overdose dosages, meaning assisted suicide.
Yeah, and this is something that a lot of people kind of keep forgetting, but the north of Italy has been under warning from the World Health Organization for the last, let's say, 10 to 13 years, because the air quality there is so incredibly bad that according to the World Health Organization, around 8,000 people each year die just because of that. Well, obviously not this year, because this year they die of corona.
Yeah, even if they die in a traffic accident.
So there are so many things going on. And another great example to prove how stupid this is. The worst hit area in the Netherlands at the beginning of the coronavirus in the Netherlands was Brabant. Brabant is a Catholic province where they celebrate Carnival. Carnival is people being outside, partying, whatever. Because of that, we know that the coronavirus spread massively in Brabant. The first hospitals in the Netherlands that had a problem housing the corona victims were in Brabant. Okay. So the people in Brabant didn't take precautions for not getting the coronavirus. And still, they are not the most hit area, because there are more people in Amsterdam now dying from corona than in the whole province of Brabant. So there is more to it than just being sick. We don't know how many people are sick. I mean, in the Netherlands at this point in time, I think we are at between 12 and 14,000 counted corona illnesses. But those are the ones that we know are sick. We don't know how many people are sick that we don't know it of. And this is true every year with the flu. Because when the flu hits the Netherlands, it's reasonable to assume that at the end of the flu season, everyone in the Netherlands has contracted the flu. But not everyone got sick. And this is what we're seeing in Brabant. Because if corona is even half as contagious as people claim it is, the whole of Brabant should be infected by now. Or rather, should have been infected during Carnival, which is a few weeks ago. And we did see a jump in cases a week after Carnival.
A week after Carnival.
Yeah, because it has how do you call it? Well, a little more than a week. 1.5
Yeah, it
week,
has
I
an
think.
incubation time of 2 weeks, I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah. Something like that. But we saw, and I don't have the numbers ready, I'm sorry, we saw this jump, and it would be in accordance with the incubation, etc., etc. That should mean that everyone in Brabant that celebrated Carnival should have a very high chance of being infected. Still, it's not 100%, but still it should be very high. And considering that in Brabant just about everyone celebrates Carnival, why don't we see that? Why don't we see more deaths in those provinces? Brabant and Limburg. Because the way the sickness is acting is not unlike a flu. So yes, for the ones that get sick, yeah, it's a problem. For the ones that get dangerously sick, yes, it's a problem. For the ones that die, obviously it was a problem. But how is that different with the flu? There are lots of people that get sick with the flu, but there are way more people that never see a doctor when they have a flu. And here we are being told to be afraid because it's not like the flu. Well, it's a different virus, that's true. But other than that, if we look at how it's behaving, if we look at the mortality rate, if we look at the infection rate, it's not a lot worse than the flu. The one thing that makes it a lot worse is that people don't have antibodies yet. But then again, this was
Yes,
true.
we don't know yet. That's the point. That's another
Yeah.
point. We test for the virus, but we don't test people. Do they have antibodies?
Well,
We test is the virus in the circulation system, and
they're now looking for antibodies. That is true.
did it start that? Okay,
They started looking for that. Yeah.
didn't know
But
that.
so many things have changed in the last. I mean, look at North Korea, not North Korea, South Korea, and because of South Korea, we kind of know this. In South Korea, they started testing everyone that came in contact with someone that was a patient of the coronavirus. So if you were in contact with them, you were getting tested. So in South Korea, they started noticing that there were way more people infected, but they didn't show any symptoms, just like with the flu. And all of a sudden, they started saying, well, wait a second, but that means that when we talk about how 100,000 people are infected, that's only a fraction of the people we're actually talking about. There are way more people infected. Now, the amount of people that die won't change because of this realization. But in percentages, it will. Because if I look at the Netherlands, we have 12,000 cases and 1,000 people died. Well, that's 1 in 12. That's way too much. Yeah, but what if there's 100,000 or 120,000, just to make it easier for myself, if there's 120,000 people that have corona in the Netherlands and 1,000 people die, then it becomes 1 in 100 instead of 1 in 12. Do I say that right? No, I said that wrong. 1,000 people died, 100,000 still. 1 in 12 becomes 1 in 120. So the percentage goes down. It goes from 10% to 1%. And that is if there's only 100,000 people with the sickness. But when we look at the flu in the Netherlands, and we never know the precise number of people that are sick with the flu in the Netherlands. We only know which are the ones that go to the doctor, that go to hospital if needed, and that die. If those are the only 3 we measure, then the sickness is really deadly. But how about all those people that have the sickness, but they don't even go to a doctor because they don't need it? Now we can pretend that that doesn't happen, but it always does. Now, and if we look, for example, I haven't looked into Spain, I have to admit, but if we look in Italy, most of the people died in North Italy. Old people, people living in polluted air, basically. If we look at America, New York is the most hit area. Lots of people living very close on one another, and the air isn't the cleanest. I look forward to what will happen in Germany and the Netherlands because our air isn't that great either. Our healthcare is a little bit better. But to say that this is very different is misunderstanding the threat of the coronavirus. And I don't say this because we should relax and it's not a big deal. No, it is a deal, don't get me wrong. But it's not the big deal they make it out to be. And yeah, Brabant did have first cases. They had lots of them, unfortunately. But by this point in time, they have been overtaken by Amsterdam. Which is weird, because there are less people in Amsterdam than in Brabant.
Yeah, but the air isn't too good neither.
True
Smells like weed.
It smells like... Anyway,
I was there, I know.
Well, should we continue with Mr. Molyneux?
Yeah, but what I wanted to say is, sure, it's not that big deal if, as you said, it's just dangerous to downplay it to it's just another flu, don't do anything. Downplaying is bad in any case.
Well,
that is what I want to say.
I'm not going to say don't do anything, but it is another flu. Of course you need to be careful. Of course you need to think before you act. But to shut down a whole country,
That's over.
I think it's
Overdone it.
yeah, it's a few steps too far in my humble opinion. And yeah, New York had lots of public meetings in January in spite of the news. Governor
And don't
Cuomo,
forget the Women's March.
government.
Especially the participants in Paris are now all on intensive care. The
Yeah,
bitter
well.
irony.
But if we look at New York, Governor Cuomo actually told people to go out, go to see that movie, go to that restaurant. This is not something you should do during a flu epidemic either, to be honest. But yeah, and
Yeah, he was downplaying the risk.
yeah,
That's what I meant.
yeah. Now I'm not saying do whatever you want to do, because yes, it's a contagious disease. Yes, you should be careful. But don't lock yourself in your house because it's not going to help. Oh. Anyway, let's continue.
Coronavirus. You have footsteps of the Grim Reaper leading from your house, your mouth, your typing fingers out there into the world where people are dropping by the tens of thousands.
People aren't dropping by the tens of thousands. Worldwide, about 40,000 people have died. I'm sorry, but from my house to worldwide is, I think the best word I can use in this case is hyperbolic. I'm sorry. It's rubbish. Anyone want to weigh in?
Nah.
No? Okay.
Now, you might not think of this consciously, but in the subterranean machinery of universality that characterizes the human conscience.
Okay, let me translate. Buzzword, 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 conscious. Did I misrepresent that translation?
No, it's like what's the name of the guy the Indian guy who's always going on about cosmic energies and stuff.
Mike Shiva?
No. I know who he means. He means. He's a woo peddler. Oh. Yeah. I know who you mean, but I can't remember his name now. Chakrabarti? I think it was Chakrabarti. I don't know. Deepak
Chopra, yeah.
Deepak Chopra, that was it. It's not Chakrabarti.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically the same level of. And I'm sorry, I do believe that Stefan can do better than this. But it seems that he too has been gripped by fear. And instead of looking like, okay, what can I do to address my fear, he changed to, what can you do to address my fear? And that's never a good thing.
It's happening. At some point, you are going to wake up in the middle of the night and you're going to say, man, I told people to engage in desperately dangerous behaviors that are getting people killed.
No. Doing the shopping, going to work, and saying hi to your neighbor isn't desperately dangerous behavior. Could people get sick? Yeah, sure. Is that a problem? Yeah, sure. Should we therefore stop all social interaction? Hell no. Because that would basically stop us from being humans.
Yeah, but saying hi to a neighbor might be dangerous. It depends on the neighbor.
Yeah, I understand. Well, in the Netherlands, and not just in the Netherlands, in the Western world, they've come up with this brilliant idea to stay 1.5 meters away from each other.
It's 2 meters in Switzerland.
Okay, well, still stupid, but okay. So in the Netherlands,
Yeah, I can sneeze for 3 meters. I measured it.
Oh yeah, easily 5 meters, not a problem. But they also instructed shops to basically build up their shop into segments. So they have lines on the ground, and only one person is allowed in each square, and the square is roughly 1/2 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter. Okay, so there are so many squares, and there's so much room in the shop. So there's only about so many people allowed into the shop. Let's say 20 people, and there's 100 square meters. So no one has to stand next to each other. And now the funny thing, it's a shop. So it's a confined area. You go inside with your illness, and therewith the virus is in the air because it's airborne. Do you really think 1.5 meter distance is going to help you, like in a situation like that?
Well, there's another complicating factor. I don't know about the Netherlands or Portugal, but here in Switzerland, they have to have a disinfection thing, and you are not allowed to go into the grocery store without disinfecting your hands. Issue, if you need a shopping cart or a basket,
Yeah, they
these
have.
are before the disinfection point, meaning everybody is touching those things
Oh, no,
before disinfecting
in-
the hand.
in the Netherlands, they
someone
clean
with
them.
the virus touched it, you're gonna have it.
Yeah, no, in the Netherlands
great.
they clean them. But once again, the virus is airborne.
Yeah.
So what your hands do makes no difference. Now, why do you have to wash your hands, keep your hands clean? Because if you have an itch on your face, you start scratching. That's when the virus comes close to your mouth, your eyes, and your nose. And your eyes can actually be infected as well. But if the virus is on your hand, and it never gets off of your hand, but nothing your hand touches comes close to anything else in your body or on your body, yeah, then the virus is no danger. It doesn't go through our skin.
Well, ludicrous, that's what media tells us with the body fluid, but it is airborne. Or do you think the Chinese sneeze at each other in all the cities?
Yeah,
It has to be airborne.
It has to be
Otherwise, you couldn't
airborne.
go pandemic.
yeah, it has to be airborne.
You close down the borders and then you can't spread it because there's no body fluid being transferred over the border. Or as the first infections in Switzerland, they were infected in one train.
Yeah,
In a train from Italy to Switzerland. And they didn't even sit next to each other. They were sitting in different wagons.
yeah, it is airborne. We know it's airborne. It's not being
It
confirmed.
is airborne. Even
Oh.
I can't sneeze through some different walls of the wagons. It's simply impossible.
In the World Health Organization has indeed stated that it's not airborne. But then again, the World Health Organization had at one point stated it is not contagious from human to human.
Yeah.
I think that tweet is still
And
out
then,
there.
then they stated wear masks, then they stated don't wear masks, then they stated take Motrin or ibuprofen, it's called, and then they reverted that, and then they reverted, and whoa.
The truth is,
Who is going to believe them?
yeah, the truth is there are lots of things we don't know.
Of course, they have free will. I understand all of that. So do you.
Oh, so you can have free will, but he is here to guide us, and you have to listen. Isn't that a contradiction?
But I'm talking about not something that's criminal, but something that is going to harm your conscience in a fundamental way.
Now he's threatening us, so what?
You have to do what I say, not because it's criminal, but I'm only doing this to protect you.
Yep, and he already announced to harm our conscience.
It must be me.
So if you have been somebody who has downplayed the danger of this virus, if you have been somebody who has mocked people for talking seriously about this virus, you need to publicly and vocally reverse and apologize.
Okay,
I
well,
was talking about you, Modwayne.
he's talking about people like me. So,
You should
Got-
apologize. It
got
sounds
my
like
hits,
you're
got my
running out
hits.
of time.
Oh, got my hits. I'm on my end. Ah, bullshit. Listen, I'll be very honest and I'll be very blunt. If, God forbids, and I don't really believe in a God, so God's not going to do anything for me anyway. If I do catch coronavirus, there is an increased chance I will actually die. Because out of all the people that have died, they all had comorbidities. They all had other things that made it worse. No one that died of coronavirus was completely healthy. I do have an immunity disease. I do have lung disease. If I catch coronavirus, there is a 5% chance I will not make it out alive. Having said that, apologize for recognizing that the whole corona thing is blown so far out of proportion that we're not even allowed to talk about it. Blown out of proportion so far that you, Mr. Molyneux, decidedly a liberal, feels that he has the right to berate me as a free thinker. You don't come with arguments. You come with blame. Emotional blackmail. The only thing I have to apologize for is that I don't have a bigger reach. But I'm not sure if that's something I can actually affect. So I'm not sure if that's something I should apologize for or merely recognize as a fact. But unless you come with facts proving me wrong, I'll not apologize for being correct. Nor would I like to admit or add, should anyone. We should never be forced to apologize for being correct. Because no matter the way you look at it, 2 plus 2 does not equal 5. Anyone wants to add on my rant here? Or against? Let's be honest. Wow, the silence is deafening. But I hope people understand what I'm saying. We might not agree, and there may be 100 reasons for not agreeing. But we shouldn't respond based on emotions. Well, I'm afraid, therefore you must do this. I'm afraid, therefore you must do that. People should stay indoors because there's a sickness going out. Yeah, there is. And people die from it, which is terrible. People die constantly, which is terrible.
We are mortal species.
And that's how it is.
Death is part of life. Or
Yeah,
as Shakespeare has written
go
it in Hamlet, the day Hamlet was born, the grave, forgot the word, those who dig the grave, the
Grave diggers?
yeah, thanks diggers, the grave digger started working.
Yeah, but that's... I mean, there's an old joke. There's only 2 things in life that are certain. Death and taxes. And one could argue the second one, but not the first. And yeah.
Well, yeah, let's watch the rest of the 11 seconds there.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that can save you from the greatest and most dangerous virus that afflicts mankind, a guilty, wretched, and self-destroying conscience.
And I'm going to click. Go away. Look at those beautiful rabbits. Aren't those rabbits beautiful? Anyway, no. Having a guilty conscience is not the biggest problem humans face.
Agus photos I see, sorry.
Agus. Anus photos. What the hell do you think? No.
That's a little small, sorry.
No. Nasty. I'll clean it up a little bit. So.
Clean your room, said Jordan Peterson.
Yes, well, this is not my room, but these are my old 2 rabbits. I have 2 new rabbits now, though. These both, unfortunately, are no longer with us. That's the downside with everything that lives. Everything that lives inevitably stops living. And a guilty conscience is not our biggest problem. I think I might cut this little bit up and post it as a solo video later as well. Either that or I'll make a new response. Because I kind of do want to make a response to Mr. Molyneux's post. It's not that I think he is merely wrong. I think he's actually lost the plot on this one. He's become totalitarian. He feels that he has the right to decide how other people should think because he thinks the threat is serious. And I don't think he is correct. Even though I recognize that there is a threat. Anyway, what do you guys think?
I think it's typical Stefan being full of himself.
Yeah, could that be it?
Yeah, he really sounded like one of these old. Did you have these TV preachers in the advertisement breaks? I can help you. Follow me. Listen to me.
Well, he did have a little bit of doom and gloom going on. Oh, you have to save your soul, because if you don't, you'll be doomed eternally for feeling bad.
And he is the one who leads us into the light.
Yeah. Strange. Strange, though. Well, yeah. Madness of the world. I should start recording my own, how do you call them, streams. Now I have to download it, cut that bit out, cut it a bit more, and then post it as a separate video.
And the saddest part, OBS offers both streaming and recording.
I know. I could have recorded
you just need to click it.
You're correct. It's my fault.
Where's John when we need him to tell Modwin what to do? John, are you still with us?
Maybe he went eating. He did say he was hungry. He did say he was making dinner. Then again, that was 1.5 hours ago.
And then again, he's in the risk group. He might have catched COVID-19.
Yeah.
Or he might have for sure catched a beer. It had a bug in it, no one knows.
It's probably not going to be a corona. You think that corona would use this as a great way of promoting their product, but that's not what they do.
Well, they would have to rename it though, because no American is buying Corona beer anymore because they think the virus is in there.
Yeah.
No April Fool's joke, it happened. I think 1.5 week ago.
Stupidity all around us.
Mm.
Well, not much we can do about that stupidity. Analysis. Stefan is projecting his fears and it's morphing into a demon. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Now, and the thing is, when it comes to the coronavirus, I'm damn well aware of the fact how deadly it is for me. Then again, this is true for flu as well.
You didn't die of the flu this year.
I came close. Nah, that's rubbish. But actually, this year is the first time that I had the flu for more than 24 hours. Usually when I have the flu and I get sick, it takes me a day and then I'm better. This time, I was actually sick for 2 weeks. I went to the doctor twice for the flu. Wow.
And did you get it?
What, the doctor?
No, you went there for the flu.
And I already had the flu. I went there to spread the joy.
Ah, that's why.
No.
And are you successful?
But I don't understand when he's talking about, well, it's people compare it to the flu, but the flu is not so bad. And I'm like, it's not me that has to respect the sickness, it's you. When I say this is just as bad as the flu, it doesn't mean it's not bad. People die every year from the flu. In the Netherlands, on average, 8,000 people a year die from the flu. In America, on average, between 35 and 60,000 people die from the flu every year. To pretend saying that it's nothing but a flu, that doesn't mean it's not dangerous. The flu in itself is dangerous. for the people who are at risk. I don't know. I mean, more people die of the flu than of gun violence in America, and yeah. Apparently the flu is no big deal, according to Mr. Molyneux. I don't get this. This didn't happen. I made a joke in the last stream about diversity complaints from Labour, only to have it come through by a British comedian complaining all the... Oh, right. Yeah. No, it was a she, wasn't it? I thought it was a female comedian. I'm sorry.
It's
Yes,
even possible.
that did happen. There was, and I think Sargon made a video about it, but I saw a video of other people as well. I think it was a woman complaining that the pictures in the newspapers of the doctors fighting the coronavirus were all white people. Why don't you have a picture of everyone who works in NHS to fight the coronavirus? And I'm like, seriously, everyone? How many thousand people work for NHS? You want a picture with everyone? Yeah, but she was upset that there weren't people of color in the image. Yeah, you live in a predominant white country.
Yeah, but Ludwig just posted the link and I opened it. At least 2 people there look very much like Asians. And I mean Asians like from India and so on. Their skin tone is way too brown to be Caucasian, so they are not white. I'm sorry to say. Then they are Asians.
Well, it doesn't seem to work for me, the link. Hey, the link doesn't work for me. Why? Oh, wait a second. That's probably why. Yep, that's why. Oh, this is from what's his face? We got a problem. Yeah, I think it's a woman complaining. I'm going to see if I put this here, and then I do this so that I can show you people as well.
Yeah, and if you're watching the upper picture, the third guy there with the mask on, in the green suit, he really looks European now, does he?
He does look European, yeah. I wouldn't say he's not European. He could be South European, but he does look European. But indeed, the nurse in the second picture, yeah, that doesn't look like a white guy.
Yeah,
Or girl.
the second nurse looks somehow Asian to me, but the right one has a very dark skin color to be white.
But she could still be a white supremacist. But I was actually thinking about making a video on it too, but so many people already did that I decided not to. But yeah, I was thinking about using words like beautiful, Bovian beauty. Bovian. Because I can't call her an ape. Which is technically true, but that would be called racism. Never forget the fact that we are all apes, so she's an ape too. But yeah, you're not allowed to say it because she's brown, and therefore saying ape means that you mean that she's a monkey. Now, monkeys and apes are not the same. And humans are, in fact, apes. Maybe I should... maybe I should, just to put it right.
Harambe.
Are human apes?
Only if you identify as one. If you don't, if you want to identify as something else, there's always a different gender for you.
Oh yeah, you could also be an elf or a dragonkin or a wolfkin. Mm-hmm. But are human apes? Yes, humans are apes. Humans are primates, but the primate, what is most closely resemblant to the are the humans. Are the apes. Human are great apes. Human are classified subgroup of primates known as great apes. There you have it. I so miss Castreo, Carlos Castreo. This is a topic that he would love to talk about. Anyway, so yeah, I couldn't call her an ape because that would make me racist.
Yeah,
Even
but
though,
if we are big apes, or great apes, is it now okay to monkey around?
depends on your age, actually. If you're young, yes. If you're older, no.
Where's the point in growing up if you can't be childish now and then?
Who said there was a point to growing up? Growing up is an inevitability.
True that.
It's not a choice. It's not something you would like to happen or want to happen or indeed have control over it happening. Anyway, so I'm going to bring you back. And then, for some stupid reason, there you are. I lost my live stream. We're still live. Bovine, thank you. Terrible. My English is pretty damaged today, it would seem.
Blame COVID.
Blame COVID. No, I have to blame myself. In all fairness, I have to blame myself. Guess I'm a little bit tired too. But yeah, there you have it. Oh, I'm going to put away the rabbits again. Back to the church. When I grow up, I want to be a dirty old man. So, basically, all you need to do to achieve in life is getting old, ludicrous.
It's dirty.
No, dirty already is. That's why I said only old. And I did the badoomch, but then you spoke through me, so that didn't help much. Dang! Paolo, say something.
Yeah, are we still gonna do the Taiwan interview?
Oh, I didn't even
The
look
one that Ludicrous said.
I didn't
Oh
even
yeah.
look at
The one with the who hang up.
who hang up. I didn't get the link.
Well, I have a Twitter link here.
The Twitter link. Is it on Twitter? Do I have you on Twitter?
Yeah, no, I have I sent it on the message here on the Hangout.
Hang out. Come on. Hang out. There we go. Boom, boom. You guys make things so hard on me.
Blame Google.
Yeah, true that. OBS doesn't seem to be willing to help along either, to be honest. Because for some reason it won't... there we go.
Yeah, on that page you have to click, it doesn't forward automatically.
Okay, so... It's 1 minute. We can do that. Big screen. Half of the screen is off now, but okay. Here we go.
Would the WHO consider Taiwan's membership? Hello? Would
I'm sorry, I can't hear. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
Oops.
Yeah, that wasn't an oops. But you can actually see him. This is interesting. Going back. Okay, so here he's still talking, yeah? He already decided that this is not the talk he wanted to have, because it's not that he didn't hear her. You could see that he chose not to respond.
Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
And here he proves that he knows damn well what she's going to ask. So he's going to pretend it's not important. Let's move on. And then this happens.
Right, because I'm
Look at his eyes.
curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
Look at where he's looking at.
The mouse. Where's the
He's not
pointer?
looking at the camera. He's looking at the bottom of a screen.
Where's the hang up icon?
And the connection is
Goodbye.
lost. Well, that must have been coincidental, surely.
We decided to give Dr. Alward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China, and when you look across all the different areas of China, they've actually all done quite a good job. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting us to participate, and good luck as you go forward with the battle in Hong Kong.
Wow.
So, oh, how are we going to respond to that one? For fuck's sake. The dude seriously can't address Taiwan. I'm surprised that he even...
Taiwan does not exist.
No, obviously not. I'm surprised that he even said, I wish you success with the battle in Hong Kong.
The battle against the virus. Even though they don't have the...
Well, considering that he didn't want to talk about China, I would say it's probably also against Hong Kong, China, blah, blah, blah. Because let's be honest, Hong Kong is a mess at the moment.
You would have done better if he had gone full racist and said, all you Chinese people look alike to me.
That would have probably been less terrible through that. He was working for China before the World Health Organization. Well, that could be true. That could be true. But yeah, that's pretty bad. Anyway, good people of the interwebs. Do we still want to do anything else? Or are we going to call it quits?
Well, if you want to discuss about creepy Uncle Joe,
What do you do now?
who
did
he
he
was
sniff?
me too'd.
He didn't
what?
sniff anyone. He's locked inside of his house at the moment.
It doesn't need to be Me Too. There's a video evidence of him sniffing everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, true
but
that.
now a former assistant or office worker came forward, accusing him of groping her between the legs and so on.
Yeah. But
So essentially, what they accuse Trump to do, Biden has been caught to do.
yeah, the
And
difference.
all the media is silencing it. They
Yeah,
are not reporting it because Biden needs to get the sexist Trump away.
yeah,
Talking about eradicating the devil, replacing him with the Lucifer.
yeah. Well, you know what? I'm not going to talk about this one now because I really think it's a good topic. But it's also, we've been at it for 2 hours. So if it's something small, then yeah, but this is not something
I know.
small. We can do this one next week if you want.
Probably a good idea.
Let's do
We
it.
need topics too.
True that. True that.
As if there wouldn't be enough insanity in the world.
Ha! Never. Hey, as long as people like me have internet access, there's never enough insanity.
Ah, you're an amateur, you need internet access. I just go out and I bring insanity to people.
All right. I'll take your word for it. Anyway, I would like to thank everyone that is still watching. I mean, there's 6 people. Now, 3 of them are us. So that means that Ludacris is still there. Real Raven is still there. And I don't know who the third one is. Maybe John is still there. That would be nice. Hi, John. Or maybe it's someone else. That could be too. And I would like...
I've seen another one in the beginning of the street. A stream street.
Green, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes every so often. I'm not sure if he's still here. Could be. Yeah, I can't scroll up far enough now. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. I will probably clip up the thing we did about Molyneux and post that as a separate video as well. And I would like to wish everyone a good night and stay safe out there. Yes, Green Badger, it is Green Badger, and he's still here. Haha, that's the 6th one then.
That's the Sixth Sense.
The 6th. Anyway, this is where we're going to say bye-bye. Bye-bye.